Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Purblind Gamer, and I appreciate everybody coming to my stream tonight. I know it's another slightly late one. Also, I really appreciate everybody who came for my birthday stream on the weekend and stuck around and hung out. That was a lot of fun. So today I'm going to be continuing playing Scratches, that classic horror game, which sometimes crashes everything, but maybe it'll behave a little better tonight. And I don't know if we'll finish it tonight. We might. The game takes place over 3 days, and we've finished the first two, not counting the DLC. But we'll see how far we get. We'll see if puzzles continue to stump me, or if I continue to find my way around this mysterious old manor. There we are. All right. I should load the game before playing, probably. In an ideal world. So, as you'll recall, when we left off, we woke up in the middle of the night from a strange nightmare in which the sinister African mask was moving and ended up behind us in the gallery. And we woke up to the sound of scratches, which we investigated, tried to trace to their source, and by crawling into the giant, menacing furnace in the basement, we were able to see, we're not sure, but something moved down there. There's definitely something else in this house that's making the scratching noises. And this morning we're going to see if we can find out what. And since it stopped raining, we can probably explore the manor grounds. Yes, the cursor's a little finicky. Oh yeah, I changed the gamma correction and it makes a world of difference. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it looks, still appropriately dark, but a good bit brighter. It's incredibly cold inside the house now. I mean, we could light a fire. Oh, that actually worked. No lighter fluid or kindling needed. Just toss a match onto a pile of logs. It's called Jerry. That's usually a good way to progress the story.
Who is it?
It's me.
The ghost hunter. Any contact with the other world yet?
Actually, I'm not sure. Jerry, I'm definitely not alone in this house.
What are you talking about?
Like Last night I saw something down below. It was moving. I wasn't dreaming, and I'm not making this up.
Are you sure it wasn't a mutant rat?
Definitely no rat.
I'm calling the police.
No, not just yet.
Michael, for Christ's sake, you could have a burglar inside the house.
This is no burglar, Jerry. It's much more interesting than that. And I want to figure this out by myself.
Have you taken leave of your senses?
Just promise me you won't call anyone. I can do this on my own.
Whatever. Just call me if you need any help. I'm driving there today.
Right. Bye.
Good, he's driving there, and maybe he'll bring Mr. Electrician with him, and we can have power in the house. Could call Barbara, too, who's our secretary. As I was about to dial, I remembered that Barbara said she would take Monday off. It's Barbara, a surprisingly minor character. Let's see. I'm pretty sure one of the keys we found yesterday we haven't used, so it must go to something outside. Hopefully. Haven't explored the outside too much because it was raining too hard yesterday to go out. A hefty lock was preventing my entry into the garage. Which key was it? The last one, maybe? Huh. A strong smell of aged oil was infesting the barn-like garage. I vacillated between the British and American pronunciation. Classy and old automobile. Still, I didn't want to get very close to it. It gave me the strange feeling that something was about to jump at me from inside. I know Michael's a horror writer, but he's getting a little bit jumpy in general. Of all the various items lying on the table, only the toolbox on the left seemed to have a few useful things. Wait. I got something. It said a few useful things. It's so dark I can't tell what's in there. Other than that, looks like a wrench. I get a screwdriver, I believe. Yeah, maybe that's all there was. Something changed. It seemed to have some sort of device attached to it. Yeah, I think... maybe that's a light that's going on up there. A small crate was sitting near the bicycle. Oops. There's not much in the garage. Did we look at this? Whatever. Some oil drums, perhaps? He's still going on about the classy car. Continue to make our way around the grounds. I almost succeeded, but in spite of my efforts, the door wouldn't budge. It looks like a tree inside. Maybe this is the greenhouse. I've played this game before, but it's been a while. Is that the place I think that's the place we just came from. There was a small pool of water below the arching tree. The tree had a little hole in the base which allowed water to pass through from a nearby lake. Interesting. There are also some places out back we haven't explored. Deep into the woods we go. And back again. Oops. This can't just be a dead end. It doesn't look like it. That's the way we came. Oh. A thick wall.
Larkin 124. Hey David.
Hey, how are you doing? What's the name? Oh, R. Larkin 124. Hey, how's it going? Have we by any chance met? Your name sounds familiar. Probably all in my mind. Years of corrosion had stiffened the wire on the door handles, making it impossible. I would need tools to get into the crypt.
Larkin 124. I may know you from somewhere.
Yeah, I thought so. You sound like the sort of fellow I could co-develop a TV show with. But I appreciate your coming by my stream. How are you doing, Larkin?
Probably as a narrator of a spooky story.
I have been told I have a spooky voice. Narrator of spooky stories. Ooh, I wonder if there's a career in that. Or I could narrate spooky games. The screwdriver didn't work. In fact, nothing I had seemed to work, except perhaps brute force. Brute force was pointless.
Larkin 124. Tell me about what I'm seeing.
So this is Scratches. It's a first-person horror game from like mid-2000s, which I've played before and was playing again to share with people on stream. It's pretty good, but sometimes difficult. And it's also compounded because the cursor's a little bit finicky because I'm playing it in windowed mode with magnification software. But basically, we're a horror story writer who's moved into this old house, completely furnished, and begins to discover a mystery there involving the deaths of the previous inhabitants and strange African artifacts connected to a lost tribe, and also this strange scratching sound we sometimes hear in the fireplaces at night. And last night we crawled into a furnace in the basement and saw something move inside the house, so we're not alone. And now we're just exploring the grounds, trying to pick up anything that's not nailed down and gain access to new areas.
Relarkin 124. Oh, spooky.
Yeah, it is pretty spooky. But, you know, I do like horror games. But yes, how's your day going, Larkin?
Relarkin 124. It's about to end. Haha, nearly midnight.
Oh, right, you're in a different time zone. That.
Artyom Havoc. Hey friend. Gonna lurk while I work on a project.
Oh, hey, Havoc. Thanks. I really appreciate the lurk, and I appreciate you stopping by. And hopefully, eventually, we'll get something to happen that scares you so much you stop lurking. Or I'll just bumble around trying to pick up more items. But, right, Larkin, I forgot you, you're in a different time zone, so, yeah, really late for you. I probably should settle on an earlier time to stream, which works for all my West Coast friends and my East Coast friends.
Relarkin 124. It was at this point he noticed Havoc had appeared in the game. What exactly had he meant by lurk?
Yes. Did he mean he was going to watch the stream without speaking, or did he mean he was behind that next bend in the road, waiting to strike? You could never tell when you were watching Twitch. You could never tell when you were in a British house in the countryside that was quite possibly occupied by not ghosts, but something. In case you're wondering why I'm talking weird, I'm trying to imitate the voice actor who plays the main character. Maybe the crypt is the only thing out back. I think that's the crypt.
Relarkin 124. I love it. You should narrate at regular interviews. Relarkin 124. Intervals.
Yes, I try to keep up a fair amount of narration. Imagine just being able to do that in real life. I went down to the Ralphs today. They were having a sale on cans of refried beans. I didn't get any because I had enough in the pantry, but I did feel perhaps I needed a can of soup. It's like, what is that? The guy who did all the trailers.
Refried beans are love.
They are. They're a great way to eat on the cheap. It's kind of like that guy, was it Dom DeLuise, the guy who used to do like trailers for every Hollywood movie? He was talking about how he couldn't use this his trailer voice like going through the day. Like he couldn't go into the store and say, "May I please have a can of peas?" I remember watching some interview with him a while back.
Relarkin 124. This feels like a creepier version of Myst.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like it's got that first-person perspective. Which, I mean, let's face it. Most games with a first-person perspective, I mean, adventure games for a good, I don't know, 15 years felt like Myst clones. There's one game, it was called D, which I do want to play eventually. It was a first-person horror game from the 90s, and basically people said it's like Myst with ghosts. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like the first-person games are harder, and maybe that's just because I'm zooming in and out, but I feel like it's easier to miss things. I mean, I guess the perspective doesn't necessarily dictate how easy it is to miss important things. It's not useful. I don't know what the screwdriver's for. I have a feeling we're missing more in the garage. I'm trying to think of what else there is in the house. There's not a great deal we haven't explored. Oh, let's check the mail. Yes, the mailbox is inside of a locked gate. We don't ask too many questions. Still empty. That's the other thing, it's difficult to tell if the cursor is just not registering some things or registering them in a different place. Just that merry Oldsmobile. Ooh. We got something. A sturdy crowbar. These things always come in handy. To pry pieces of wood apart when you're striking a set after a play, or to bash somebody's head in a murder mystery. Probably other things too. I can't remember what the difference between a crowbar and a pry bar was. Yeah, don't tell my stagecraft professor. Is there anything else in this toolbox? I just feel like the game wouldn't have said, like, reference multiple things in the toolbox if it wasn't really important. There, wait. There. Maybe I should correct it to the gamma more. It's so dark I'm not sure what I got. Pliers. Well, let's see what we can smash up with our crowbar, or tweak apart with our pliers. The rust wouldn't allow the door to be opened. It did say rust, right? Should I try the old oil can? Oh. I poured the oil on the hinges of the door and hoped that it would reduce the rust. And we're in. A thick mist struck me in the eyes as I entered the barren greenhouse, and the smell of long dried plants and dirt permeated the air. Several plants were scattered here and there. A few had pathetic... Parts were scattered here and there. A few had pathetic plants in them. I thought that the plants might be alive, as though nature itself were, but that was merely a pathetic fallacy about pathetic plants. I will never not use that joke.
Relarkin 124. I live for these readings.
Thanks, Larkin. I appreciate it. One of the pots had collapsed, spewing its contents over the concrete floor. And we're back where we started. Hang on. Shiny. There was some kind of shiny object beneath the grating. Whatever it was, there was no way I could reach it. But I simply had to. My grandfather was, after all, a magpie. And if his blood didn't run through my veins, I didn't know whose did. I tried using the crowbar as a lever to lift the panel of the grating, but it was solidly welded to the rest. An imposing but dead tree adorned the center of the greenhouse. No wonder it's dead. This house has been abandoned for a while. For those of you who missed our previous playthroughs, after the guy who owned the house apparently murdered his wife, and then wait, did he die or did he disappear? And then a physician took over the house who was a family friend, and he gradually went mad, and then he disappeared, I believe. So the house has just sat there for all these years. With, nobody throwing away all the diaries and scraps of paper inside, because, someone has to come back and piece together the plot after buying it. A huge pot containing a bush had fallen, blocking the drain. And we lever it out of the way. No. More talk about the pots and the plants. I'm going to save real quick. Just because this game has been known to crash. Knock on wood. Knock on cheap plywood. Substitute, whatever. The upper walkway was livelier than below due to several plants that had somehow managed to subside on it. The branches of the huge tree made walking in the upper walkway very difficult. insecticide gun thing? It was just an old fumigator. Yeah. I knew they were called something. The watering can was of no use to me, as I had no plans to try reviving any of the plants. Shears were tailored for trimming plants. A letter? Diary, February 7th. As much as I regret it, I've decided to stop caring for the greenhouse. All my efforts to save the plants have been in vain. I just can't seem to figure out what went wrong with them. It has been a few weeks since they began falling apart to pieces, dying without any apparent cause. Some of them would just crumble at the slightest touch. This is not only frustrating but very unsettling. Every time I enter the place, I can feel a sense of dread and decay. What I most regret is the condition of the rare plant I brought from South Africa. It's now all sad-looking and almost dried up. I will take it upstairs and look after it, hoping it will get more sunlight, assuming that everything that has been happening here has a natural explanation. Death is surrounding this place, and I can't seem to do anything about it, in spite of my concerns. I can't help thinking that all of this began when I bought that. I wonder. No, I have to put those thoughts aside. I should stop reading all those sinister books. They're getting under my skin. So he took some plant upstairs. In the greenhouse, I assume. One bag had ripped and fertilizer was lying on the table. The plant on top of the table was strangely attractive. Wonder if that's the plant he was talking about. Oh wait, did I try to take the fumigator? I did. No dice. Made walking difficult, but fortunately it's not blocking my path. Oops. I swear I saw that cursor change. A large hose was lying on the walkway. Okay, I did something with the hose. So now it's running from the garden on down. Is that it? I think so. Ooh. There was a shovel in the planter, but it was stuck in the soil. Oh. So then I'm guessing I have to go down and turn on the hose. Looks like it's making me go the long way around. Aha. Oops. Apparently the water wasn't running. I was going to have to call Jerry and have him send out Mr. Plumber as well as Mr. Electrician. No hint as to why. Well, let's see. Explored damn near everything we have to explore on this floor. Wait. Pliers, maybe. That wasn't useful either. Well, I can see if either the shears or the pliers let us snip our way into the crypt. A mysterious tree with water. How do we get back to the house? house. Hmm? There we are. I swear, that did not look like... It just looked like leaves to me, not a path to the house. Oh, wait. Was that maybe? There was that secret hatch in the basement. Was that screwed in place? Let's check. Which are our standard tools. Wouldn't it be nice if you realized that you were trapped in an adventure game and then you could just be like, fine, I'll just carry a toolbox around with me with everything. Half of the puzzles seem to be about finding the right tools. It's not so here. In some of the simpler games, it's like, find the tool, find the keys. I couldn't move the valve with my bare hands. With a little mechanical advantage. No, Michael, you're supposed to use the crowbar.
Also carry weapons to blast the puzzles away.
Yeah, that would solve a lot of them. No more of this, well, I can't remove the vent cover because I don't have a screwdriver. What's that? Oh, I have a shotgun. That should take care of most vent covers. Yeah, just hopefully the puzzle or piece inside the vent cover isn't something that could be easily destroyed by, shotguns. I feel like that could be a good comedy series, using means from action video games to solve adventure game puzzles. There was a perfectly good reason I couldn't use the crowbar after I attached it to the thing I was supposed to lever, but I would be damned before I would tell the player what that reason was. Oh. Oh well, that worked. There was no more need to fiddle with the valve. So how do I get the drain cover up? Okay, but I'm assuming that turned on the water to the greenhouse. Or, did something. need one of those. What are those devices that you use to turn the water onto an entire property? Something keys. No hints for you. Well. Let's get on up to the crypt. Cooks conducted tours. I wonder if that's a real thing and they sponsored this game. Probably not. But it would be cool. Product placement for random things in video games. Here? Yes? No? Well, we found the crypt before, and we can do it again. I say that, and yet. It is this way, isn't it? No. I can't tell if there are like two parallel pathways and they're just looking too similar to me. No, I'm sure that's the same. Yeah, the same dead end. Ugh. Oh, come on, guys. It shouldn't be this hard to navigate my own property. One would think. Isn't there a James Harriet story about a guy who got lost in his own house? Seems like it. Yeah, that's... Well, if we know it's not the one way, it must be the other way. And we're back. Wait. I'm beginning to think some abominable entity is playing tricks on our sense of direction. Sorry guys, I can't tell if this is something I'm doing or the game's doing. Because we located the crypt in the backyard, like, not that long ago. Alright, as soon as I call the game out on it, the crypt appears. Like, it's got a mind of its own. Anyway. Yay. I cut them. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I entered the decaying crypt. The foul smell of rotting flesh seemed to pervade the place. I took a moment to save my game because I knew that at any moment, forces beyond my control could tear apart the very fabric of the world I was in. I couldn't imagine what the purpose of the grating in the floor was. Obviously, nobody down there was in need of fresh air. I wonder what these wooden contraptions are. I seriously considered what I was about to do, but curiosity got the better of me. A corpse in the advanced stages of decomposition was inside the coffin. It was disgusting. Whoever it was, I could sense a feeling of terror in the dead face. The body had been rotting for several years until my disturbance. I decided to leave it alone. So that's... we don't know who, but that's someone. Curiously enough, this coffin was completely empty. course, if it was to be the wife's coffin, that would make sense. The husband supposedly buried her in the yard, according to the maid. The candle holders were attached to the wall, but alas, there were no candles in the vicinity. We've established on the first day that there are no candles in the entire house. Only an oil lamp, and we used that up last night. Something out there. I couldn't imagine what the purpose of the grating. Oh, is off on about the grating on the floor again. According to the plaque, both Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood had died in the same year, 1963. I'm guessing that's James's body in there. Down we go. Here we are. There were several coffins in the room, probably belonging to the most important ancestors of the family. Even though it was in better shape than the rest, it was too dark in this particular spot to make out what the plaque read. The proposal of witnessing the decaying body of a baby wasn't very tempting. Oh, there's the baby from the bricked up nursery that apparently died. So he won't strike a match now. Seeing one dead body inside the crypt had been enough for me. This coffin was half opened, and I was horrified to glimpse the remains of a dead cat in it. Strange. Very strange. Looks like they're not going to show us the dead cat. I'm alright with that. I guess we're not going to open any of the coffins. That plaque is too badly eroded. too dark in this particular spot. Are we going to get more light in here to read whatever it was? Large windows in the dome above barely allowed the sunlight to enter the crypt. Yeah, here we are again. So we've got the wire. Wonder what we'll need that for. Let's check our notes. I've managed to get inside the greenhouse, another one of Blackwood's hobbies. This place is really sad and the atmosphere is tense. I have made my way into the crypt. The place is suffocating and the rotting smell is unbearable. That's all the notes so far. I do recall when I had played this game before, there were a couple of parts on the third day that really had me stumped and I had to look up a walkthrough for. I'll see if I can avoid that. After leaving the crypt, I stopped to think for a few seconds. I only found one body inside, but there were 2 plaques. Something was evidently out of place here. I mean, don't tell me anything I don't know, right? That's just plot, that's not a hint. I think. They're just the same thing. Nothing inside that I can tell. That's just to close it, yes. Oops. There's nothing else important here. Ever notice how sometimes in first-person games you have a tendency to like physically look up while you're trying to look up on the screen? Maybe that's just me. I thought for a moment it did change. What are we looking at? Are we looking at the sky? Is... Oh. Or maybe we found a bug? Well, sorry about that, guys. I'll just have this up and running again in a jiffy. And I'll just resize the window and move it back to where it lines up with the enlarged portion of the screen. I believe that's got it. Well, I'm certainly glad I saved. Wait, we didn't actually get anything down here, did we? Right. Oh, wait, what's that? A rock. Help, I'm a rock. Right. I'm just opening these again in case it was needed to trigger something else. An empty coffin. Ready for someone to sleep in it. This can't be right, but... If I break one of the windows, is that how I get more light in here? Oh, wait. No, maybe I am remembering something. Maybe I am right. It's on vandalism if I own the property. I can do what I like with it. Yes. Why do you talk about corpses when I'm trying to throw rocks at windows? I heard the stone at the window, but sadly it missed and bounced off the ceiling, flying out of sight. Way to go, Michael. Well, we can go check if we did turn the water on. And we did something with that valve. Oh, just saying again, something was out of place here. Here, now let's try and see how we get from this crypt to the house, or to the path, so we can find the crypt again. Okay, so it is as far down this path as we can go. Yeah. Wait. We know that both James and Catherine died the same year, which I don't think we knew before. So I think if we look through those newspapers again, we might find a bit more. Can't remember how often I would come back to the newspapers. Shit. No, just the same thing. Talking about the accused murder by Blackwood. And the baby, right. Well, can't blame me for trying. Back to the greenhouse we go. haven't tried to do any writing today. Let's see if Michael can have a go at that.
No, I knew it was fruitless. I couldn't write. I had to solve the mystery. It was the only thing that mattered to me now.
Yeah, the obsessive type there. Fireplace. Can we? The wood's burning nicely, but could we grab a log to take with us? Maybe? No such luck. I don't know what my roommates are on about, but perhaps you can hear them calling, "Hello, ghosties." Perhaps they've jumped on the, phantasmophobia bandwagon. Phasmophobia? Phantasmophobia? Whatever. Still no mail. Greenhouse, right? No way we can use the wire, is there? Eh. Right. That's it. It is. Trying to get the shovel unstuck, yes? is. Nice, we got a shovel. Wait, why do we need a shovel? I don't know. We'll think of something. Could we use the shovel? Oh, wait, I remember. I think I remember. I think we have to flush the mysterious silver object out. No. Oh wait. Yes, the shiny object had been washed away. I wondered where. This. It's blocking the drain. It did work. I removed a few branches and leaves, clearing that corner of the drain. Now, unless I miss my guess. Oh, do you guys hear that? I think I heard it. Like clinking. And I think I remember that it gets washed to that mysterious tree. Aha. That's it, isn't it? Or is that just the light? Yes. It's a small key. What is... I think the only thing still locked is the door in Blackwood's desk. Unless there's... No, that doesn't have a lock. I think that's what it is, and we're finally getting somewhere. Yes. Oh yay, a combination lock. I love those. March 23rd, 1963. Dear Catherine, first of all, I beg you to take the utmost care in order to keep this letter away from James. I don't like to think of the mental breakdown he would suffer if he reads this. You know James much better than I do, so you must share my conviction that he'd never harm anything. But even so, I'd ask you to be careful whenever he's around, at least until we sort out this situation. He has been especially unstable lately, speaking about his determination to suppress this so-called curse. I truly fear for him and for his sanity. I still wouldn't say he's qualified as dangerous, but just in case, be cautious. I've been playing the role of an ally who believes in James, and so far I think I've done a good job in convincing him. But I'm afraid it won't last for too much longer. I can't do all the things he's now asking me to do. He has been delving into some very obscure arts, and what began as a hobby has now become a dangerous obsession. He wants me to perform an African ritual on that awful mask he brought. He's convinced he has released an ancient spirit which will harm everything he loves and will harm everything he loves and cares for. It's all so utterly insane that I'm ashamed to translate this into words. My biggest fear is that I will end losing my own mind along with his. I have to put an end to all this. And about that other issue, you should know I've gotten over it. Catherine, what we all did 2 years ago, the decision we made and knew would affect the course of our lives, has been haunting my sleep ever since then. I know you must be the one more affected by this, but you wouldn't understand all that has been going through my head. The confusion, the contradiction, now more than ever. I'm not sure whether it was the right decision or not, but there's no turning back, and we must face the consequences. All I wanted to say about this is that I'm deeply sorry if I behaved erratically these past days and unnerved you. You have my word, I won't ever reveal anything. Whatever you do with this letter, make sure James doesn't feel anything suspicious. I'd rather have you destroy this, though. Extreme situations require extreme measures. Christopher. So that's Christopher Milton, the doctor. March 21st, 1963. Oops. I doubt it's that simple, but oh, the numbers don't change, it just shows you it at the bottom. Oops. March 21st. 63. Yeah, of course, it's not that bloody easy. Wouldn't it be nice? Nah. Two years ago, right? Something, I mean, I think it's something to do with the baby, because that happened 2 years prior. Well, I was hoping for a bit more in that drawer. My efforts have been fruitful and sorry, what? My efforts have been fruitful. And I don't know, the rest seems to cut off. Lost on. Oh, I wonder what it will open. Perhaps he's talking about the key. A drawer in the study provided me with further revelations of the Blackwoods drama, and a very tempting box. Except I need to know a code to open it. I'm fairly stumped. March of 63. I can't think that's significant enough to trigger anything fresh in the newspapers, but wouldn't hurt to check. This drawer. The drawer was stuck beyond all hope, but we have a crowbar. I guess when he said beyond all hope, he meant it literally. Sorry, this thing is. Now we can open that door. There. No. Nothing new. Gosh. I remember the code for the box being something I completely overlooked when I played this before. I wonder if it could have been the baby's birthday. If I'd been him, I would have done everything I could to unbreak that door before having to climb in and out again. August 9th of 61. Wait. If this is England, do they do their dates differently? Like written in purely numeric form? And that's the registration date. 7th August 61. Yeah, if I had to make that climb, I would fall and die. Yeah, never mind the thing in the house. I think that, like, climbing over here, such terrifying heights is scarier. Little clock keeps track of our progress somewhat. 11 a.m. Okay, so we haven't made a great deal of progress. 90 years without slumbering, his life's seconds numbering, but it's stopped short, never to run again when the old man died. Where am I going? That's right, I was going to try the combination, and I completely forgot. I don't know where my mind is. Oops. No such luck. You gotta find that combination. Something in the crypt. But I'm not. Is that where we're supposed to get more light in there? Oh my. Sorry. Ask Jerry for any other help. I'm sure, I know he's not going to give us the combination like he did for the safe. That would be too easy.
Yes?
Hi, Jerry.
Michael, I was worried about you. Are you doing okay?
Yes, I'm fine, and I think I know the identity of my intruder.
Tell me, who is it?
James Blackwood.
The Blackwood person? Michael, are you serious? That the ghost of the murderer is roaming the house?
I'm not talking about his ghost, Jerry. I'm talking about him.
What the heck do you mean?
I mean James Blackwood himself, alive in this house.
What? How is that possible?
It makes sense. After murdering his wife and realizing what he has done, he begs for help to Christopher Milton, who fakes his death.
Milton, the previous owner? Michael, you're losing your mind. Even if he managed to hide himself, how did he survive all this time? Milton has been missing for years.
Good point, but I'm sure a desperate man like Blackwood would have found a way.
Yes, by turning into a ghost. Wait a minute. Yeah, I have it right here. James Blackwood passed away on June 1963. Would you please stop this?
Jerry, just listen to me. I know I'm right. There's only Mrs. Blackwood's body in the crypt. His is missing.
Oh God, Michael, you've really gone out of your mind. Digging into coffins, what next? Desecrating the chapel?
Whatever it takes to solve this mystery. You can only find stories like this in books.
Precisely why I'm beginning to wonder about your sanity.
You'll see.
I do like the voice actors, but I feel like at this point they're not. I don't know, they could sell the story better. Like the intensity of what's happening, and I mean, Michael's almost losing it. Granted, there are unusual things going on, but it's still it is a little beyond what normal people do. Breaking into chapels, opening coffins. Wait, March 63. That's an. No, June 63. But he just told us a different date, I think. Yes, I realized we were here not so very long ago. The game was making up its mind. Yes. Here we are. June of 63.
The article wasn't as informative as I'd hoped, but there was a phone number
Scribbled on the page. Following the shocking news that became public knowledge last week, we must now inform about the sinister outcome of the story that has been on the mind of every citizen in our town these past few days. Mr. James Blackwood has died at the age of 56 due to a heart attack, allegedly because of the pressure and stress caused by the astonishing account by Mrs. Eva Mariani, former maid of the family. This puts a sudden end to the case deferred by the authorities. Police Chief William Bailey said, "It saddens me that Mr. Blackwood was never brought to a proper trial. No matter what kind of excuse he probably made, the death of Mrs. Catherine Blackwood is a fact. I'm fully convinced he was guilty." Dr. Christopher Milton is said to be taking care of a funeral that nobody will attend, and all the belongings of the Blackwood family are now in his possession. Silently, Rothbury returns to daily life, turning the page over one of its darkest chapters. Many will wonder in the years to come what really happened inside Blackwood Manor. Bailey. Train robbery. Oh 1665 65217. I hope it. You know, since it'll probably make us dial that, I'm just going to jot that down. Oh, right, my camera is under my webcam to give it an additional angle. I had another pen somewhere. But where? Yes, that's the question. Oh, right. interesting story. So I was at this one internship. I was helping them clear out and sort through a bunch of papers, and one of the things they had was a couple sample copies of the memorial pen that they gave to all the cast and crew at the end of the season. And the company had sent along a prototype copy of the pen without any of the text, just to show them what sort of pen it was. And they said there was no reason to keep that around, since it technically had nothing to do with their production, and I could chuck it out or take it home. Assuming it still works. It's only been a few years since season 3 wrapped. Oh, 1665. I guess that's how they do telephone numbers there. 10 digits. Oh, wait. If it's Monday, the bank should be open. That was the other thing. We found the number. And an account number for the bank in the safe. That's right. Which was what's the significance? What's that? No, seriously, what is that? Some kind of clockwork thing? Oh, it's a music box. That's part of some puzzle. I don't think so, but perhaps I'll nose around the piano later and see if Michael has any thoughts. Oops. Too far. Alright, that's the gallery. Yes, this is a reflection of the game, but the way this is jumping around. If you were playing it in full screen mode and exact resolution, I don't think it would do this. I certainly don't remember it doing it much. Crap, don't tell me we can't access the safe again. Let's see. October 19. Right, because it was for the nursery. Oh, 1912. Nine 4144. Let's just play it safe. Or should I say, play it save? Oops, I clicked on Barbara, sorry. I haven't seen one of these in a while. I know some people still have them. My great aunt still had one. She passed away a couple of years ago. Actually, I think, I'm trying to remember if the restaurant I worked in had a rotary dial phone or if it was just a normal phone made up to look like one of those, 30s or 40s style with a removable piece. Don't know what the technical term is. Anyway. This could be troublesome. Oh wait, I did hit O the first time. One. Six. Now. Watch this end up being the hardest part of the game. Me trying to use a rotary dial telephone. 7.
Who is this?
Hi, are you Mr. William Bailey?
That's me. And you are?
Yes, my name is Michael Arthate. I'm a journalist for a local newspaper in Rothbury.
I see. And what's this all about?
Well, you're the former police chief of this town, aren't you?
Indeed. I served many years ago.
And you were once in charge of a famous, or should I say, infamous case here?
Oh, bloody hell. Don't tell me this is about James Blackwood.
Well, yes, I'm writing a story for my newspaper. The most famous police cases of Northumberland.
Have you got any idea how many times I've talked about this? Go to your nearest library. I'm sure you'll find plenty of information about Blackwood there.
Oh, crap. Dialogue choices. But, sir, this case is fascinating. Please, Mr. Bailey, I beg you. Decisions. Wonder if this will lead to us telling more of the truth.
Please, Mr. Bailey, I beg you. It won't be the same if I can have the information from someone who was there, and no less than the renowned William Bailey of Rothbury.
All right, son, spare me the nonsense. What is it you want to know?
Well, in the first place, what did Ava Mariani see exactly?
She saw enough, son. James Blackwood was dragging a shape into a hole in the garden. At first, Mrs. Mariani couldn't realize what it was, but eventually she made out the dead body of Catherine Blackwood with a serious wound.
And Blackwood was automatically deemed guilty?
Don't even think about it. Well, we seem to have crashed. No big deal. I mean, at least OBS didn't crash. Take what we can get. Anyhow, let's have another go. There we go. Now we should make sure that's positioned right on OBS. Oh yeah. Yeah. Check out that sweet gamma correction. Ah, yes. This was just before the excitement of dialing a telephone number. Okay. Back before games automatically dialed a telephone as soon as you clicked on it. And you wouldn't have to dial a rotary telephone by hand if you were playing Call of Duty too, would you? Yep. Oh. 1. 6. 6. 5. 6. 5. 2. 1. 7. So terrified of messing up towards the end.
Who is this?
Hi, are you Mr. William Bailey?
That's me. And you are?
Yes, my name is Michael Arthur.
Yeah, we
I'm
can't
a
skip through dialogue.
journalist for a local newspaper in Rothbury.
I can understand. It's not like there's that much of it in this game.
Well, you're the former police chief of this town, aren't you?
Indeed. I served many years ago.
And you were once in charge of a famous, or should I say, infamous case here.
Oh, bloody hell. Don't tell me this is about James Blackwood.
Well, yes, I'm writing a story for my newspaper. The most famous police cases of Northumberland.
Have you got any idea how many times I've talked about this? Go to your nearest library. I'm sure you'll find plenty of information about Blackwood there.
I would have had to talk about it half as many times, but the game crashed every time someone asked me about it. And that doubled it. You know what a game crashing is like, son.
Please, Mr. Bailey, I beg you. It won't be the same if I can have the information from someone who was there, and no less than the renowned William Bailey of Rothbury.
All right, son, spare me the nonsense. What is it you want to know?
Well, in the first place, what did Ava Mariani see exactly?
She saw enough, son. James Blackwood was dragging a shape into a hole in the garden. At first, Mrs. Mariani couldn't realize what it was, but eventually she made out the dead body of Catherine Blackwood with a serious wound.
And Blackwood was automatically deemed guilty?
He was found digging his wife's son.
Why did James Blackwood never appear before a jury?
When you're someone as renowned and famed as James Blackwood was, you can pretty much avoid the authorities. However, you can't avoid justice. And justice was brought upon James Blackwood.
Justice? How?
He died shortly after the accusation. You should know about that.
What happened to Dr. Christopher Milton?
How should I know? You bet your life that slimy worm was up to something. I couldn't prove it, though I spent years investigating him. A shame we couldn't implicate him as much as James Blackwood.
Are you saying he could have had something to do with the murder?
Blackwood and Milton were very intimate. Milton did the impossible to aid his friend, and even clear his name after he died. You do the math.
And was ever determined the cause of death of Catherine Blackwood?
Yes, partly. Mrs. Mariani managed to see her throat was slit open. Ripped, she would say. It must have been horrible for the poor girl.
Still, everything sounds so vague, as if something were missing.
Are you questioning my performance on this case, son?
No, sir, not at all. I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, why a proper autopsy was never done.
An autopsy to whom?
Please, sir, this is very important to me, and I could really use your help. I'm trying to fit all the pieces of this mystery together.
Mystery? What mystery? You must be one of those people that just love splitting hairs, don't you?
I don't think I understand, sir.
Listen, son, that cold-blooded bastard murdered his wife, God knows why. But he and his fancy doctor did the impossible to hamper our investigations. You don't have to be a brilliant detective to realize Blackwood did it.
How do they hamper the investigation? What are the options? So I always find reason behind a murder. There's got to be something else.
There's always a reason behind a murder. Nobody has ever found out why Blackwood did what he did.
Psychopaths don't need any reasons. And James Blackwood turned into one, precisely.
Well, then tell me how Blackwood reacted when you pulled his wife beneath the ground.
I beg your pardon.
I mean Catherine Blackwood's body when you dug in the garden of the manor.
Like I said, they hampered the investigation. We never managed to set one foot inside the manor. What kind of bloody journalist are you, son?
But are you telling you never actually retrieved the body?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Now, if you don't mind,
But wait, this doesn't make any sense.
stop wasting my time, damn it. I was enjoying my retirement until you had the brilliant idea of calling me. I don't want to hear anything else about this case ever again.
Please, Mr. Bailey, don't...
Leave me alone.
But somebody put that body in the crypt. Assuming it was Catherine's body that the maid saw. Actually, I'll dial the bank. Zero, one, nine, one, two. Got it right. Nine. Four. One. Four. Four. Oh, bloody hell, I misdialed. 4. 1. 4. 4. That was so close. This better be an absolutely riveting conversation. Remember when you, like, had to start the whole number over again if you got one wrong? Before cell phones. Thank goodness.
The National Bank of Northumberland. Robert Blake speaking.
Hello, Robert. I need some help.
Artyom Havoc. I gotta call it a night, friend. Have a good night, Artyom 7 IBM Heart.
Oh, thank you so much, Havoc. I'll probably wrap up the stream fairly soon too, but I really appreciate you coming and joining me for more horror. And everybody, please go check out Artyom Havoc. He does a lot of really neat and varied retro games. Oh, right. Milton or Blackwood?
Do you have a customer there registered as Christopher Edward Milton? He's a doctor.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that kind of information.
It's all right. I work in the hospital with him. My name is Dr. Mike Rutherford.
Which hospital would that be, sir?
Rothbury Health and Care Medical Center.
Please hold on a few moments. I'm sorry, sir. I see we had someone called that a few years ago, but everything in the files has been removed. It had seemed he's no longer a customer of this bank.
Oh, I see. Good old Christopher still playing pranks on me. That old joker.
Sir, you said your name was...
I won't waste your time anymore. Good day.
I wonder if we get a different outcome if we try asking about Blackwood. And they would set this game before the redial button, wouldn't they? I like to think I'm getting the hang of it somewhat.
You again? If you persist, I shall have to inform the authorities.
All right, relax.
Oh, well. It appears they had caller ID back then. I mean, so we know Milton had an account at that bank, but we don't know it was the same one or anything. Let's see, where are we now? Let us see. It's noon. Might as well check the mail. We got the translation of the maid's letter. Yes! Even though I was anxious to read the letter, I tried to remind myself that I should give a raise to my efficient assistant. It was pretty quick of Barbara to get it translated and mailed back this fast, considering we only sent it to her on Saturday. August 28th, 1963. Dear Mother, I spent the whole morning... I spent the whole morning running a few errands for the Blackwood family, and on the way back, many thoughts crossed my mind. Take back what I said. I want to return home. I take back what I said. I want to return home. Things haven't got any better here. Everyone is behaving mysteriously, and they try to avoid me. I do understand that they must still be distressed about the death of their son, but it has been almost 2 years since that already. I feel like an alien. I don't belong here anymore, and I find it hard to sleep at night. There's too much activity in this house, too much snoring, or too much moving around, and that is unnerving me. I feel something terrible is going on here, and I want to go as far away as possible. I will miss Mrs. Blackwood dearly, as she has always been kind to me, but I'm afraid my health is at stake. And I've been seeing some strange things, too. I can't explain it, but I think someone did something very wrong. That Dr. Milton would often come to talk with the Sir for many hours, and nobody would allow me upstairs, although I've been secretly taking pictures there. I hope this doesn't upset you, But don't worry. They are well hidden under a loose board beneath my bedside table. Please, Mother, forgive me. I know I should have listened to you. It's not like I'm stubborn. I just wanted to wait and see if things would get any better for myself. They haven't, and that's why I'm asking you for a place to stay until I sort out my situation. Call me as soon as you can. I usually have to stay in town until 5 o'clock, but lately I've been coming back about an hour earlier. I just want to leave this place. I confess that I am scared. I'll be waiting, and please hurry. With love, Ava. Loose floorboard. In the maid's room. Wait, the maid's room is off the kitchen, yes? Loose floorboard. Wait, did she say bed or bedside table? Bed. Is there some visual cue I'm missing? Nothing else. That's what I get for not reading carefully enough, I suppose. You would think it would be easier to find now that we know we're looking for a loose floorboard. Is this one of those things that's obvious to everyone but me? I'll just take us over there. I mean, my gut tells me it's under the rug. Now, this is the best clue we have at the moment. To decide how much further to press on tonight. I should probably save. Actually, you know, I think I'm probably going to call it for the night. It seems like a pretty good stopping place, and we do know what we have to do next, which is tear apart the floorboards and find the maid's photographs, which will tell us something about something. I mean, hopefully. Hopefully we don't have to deal with any red herrings here. So, just a second and I'll wrap up. Yeah, thank you to everybody who came by and said hi or just lurked. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed Scratches. It's a pretty good game, even if sometimes it can get frustrating. I think it's got a good plot, and I like horror games, and I certainly enjoy it. If you guys could hang around and we could raid somebody, that would be great. Just see who's on. Oh wow, he stopped streaming. Ugh. I should probably find somebody to raid. I don't know, but I'm always really like, it always makes me really anxious because I hate to bother people, you know, especially if I don't know them. And I'm sure it would be nice if I found some smaller person, like streamer, especially a retro person, to raid. Even if I didn't know them, they probably wouldn't mind. But ugh, I don't know. Too much anxiety. Maybe we'll just I don't want to risk annoying people. Maybe we'll just plan to raid somebody next time. So, anyway, I guess I'll just say goodbye for now. Thank you to everybody who came again, and I'm Purblind Gamer, variety / retro streamer. I stream Wednesday and Sunday evenings, and sometimes other times I may try and regularly expand to another date in a week. But thank you all very much, and I hope you have a good night. And I hope you don't have too many nightmares about bodies missing from coffins and buried in the yard and mysterious scratching noises in the fireplace. Wait, what was that?